We're live.
And welcome everybody to the second edition of the JTH All-Star Wrestling Debaters. We got a great show tonight. Some great topics, including what was the worst TNA pay-per-view of all time, who was the best wrestler in 2017, and in honor of the Kenny Omega-Chris Jericho match being made, what dream match would our two players most want to see in 2017, 2018? That and a lot more. We got a lot of great topics tonight and a lot of great players and great judges also. Everybody here is great. So let's first off meet our two contestants that are taking part tonight. First off, representing the fine, wonderful country of Canada, it is Brooklyn Vail.
What's going on?
So, Brooklyn, I'm not gonna lie, didn't know you were that much of a wrestling fan. Haven't interacted with you when it comes to any of the Wrestling Trivia Showdown stuff. So, what would you say your knowledge of wrestling is before you go into this debate?
It's recent. Kind of got back into wrestling a few years ago. Whenever I had lived in it was like kind of after college. Kind of sparked me back into it, and then actually a good friend of mine, a guy that I grew up with. He does a podcast. He used to do it every week, but now they do it between like Survivor Series and WrestleMania, never over live. So they do podcasts every week, and then they do reactions to all the pay-per-views. So they kind of got me back into it, and yeah, like they just the stuff that's churned out between Survivor Series and WrestleMania just draws all those casual fans in. So I would say I'm like a little more than a casual fan, but I would know some stuff that the average casual fan doesn't.
Awesome. Well, I think based on the answers that you gave, I think you're going to give a pretty good performance tonight. But trying to stop you tonight is one member of the NWO and representing the US of A. Oh, put your thumb down. Come on, stop that, Mark. It is the villain, Haven. Now, Haven, you were a judge in the first one before your phone died. That was so. Knowing how the format kind of worked, do you think that gives you any kind of advantage going into your actual debut as a player?
No, not really. I know a lot about wrestling. I was actually gonna come in winging it, not know what questions you're gonna ask. Just bring the topics because of my love for wrestling. It's always been a staple in my life growing up. Single mother, that was our outlet. She used to take us to the events. So, and I grew up in Connecticut. So, all the WWE and WWF at the time, they used to always do like house shows over there. So, I really enjoy wrestling. And Brooklyn, he's a brother from Canada. I respect him. He's played. I've seen him play a match before. I think it's gonna be a head-to-head. Just a tough battle, and whoever comes out victor at the end, they come out the winner.
Awesome indeed. And let me now.
Oh, sorry. If I may correct you.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm not the member of the NWO. I'm the goddamn leader of the NWO. Get it right.
Oh, forgive me. So I guess I've already beaten the leader of the NWO, but I guess that was too easy. So
I feel
and also
corporation.
Oh yes. And speaking of the corporation and everybody else, our three judges tonight, including myself, this is a rare treat because our three judges tonight are the only three Wrestling Trivia Showdown champions in our league's history. Thank you. First off, it is the most recent Wrestling Trivia Showdown champion, the Canadian Nightmare. He first took part as a player, and now he gets to take part as a judge. It is the Canadian Nightmare, Mark Borich. So, Mark, as a person that's now got to work together with me, the person that took your championship, can I trust that you're gonna get along with me tonight?
Yeah, I'll have my own opinions on how the competitors debate, but come Tuesday, I become #1 contender again. So we'll leave it at that, and as soon as the match starts, I'll be fully impartial.
Sounds good. And knowing you, I can take your word for it. And also, our third and final judge, man, it needs no introduction. He's the epitome of Film Nerd TV, the man who runs the channel, representing the corporation. It is the Hitman, Hunter. Now, Hunter, representing the corporation, we have a member of the NWO here. Can you give your word that you will be an unbiased judge here?
Yeah, man. See, during the trivia matches, the Hitman comes out. He doesn't give a shit about anybody. This is Hunter. This is a man who's fair and who's actually friends with both of these guys, so I can be impartial.
All right, awesome. So our players wanted to do their own personal introductions because that's them and they're great. So without further ado, let's get this started. Introducing first, representing Canada, the one, the only, Brooklyn Vail.
It's such an awesome song.
He ready to kick some ass. All right, and his opponent, the leader of the NWO, it is the villain, Haven.
Boo! I'm sorry. It's just John Cena music reaction.
The villain sucks. The villain sucks. The villain sucks. The villain sucks.
The NWO.
Because when I think of the NWO, I think of John Cena.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so here's how this is going to work, guys. We have 4 regular round topics that you both have answers prepared for. Basically, it's the first to 5 points, so we will have a guaranteed 1 speed round question that you do not know the question beforehand. And may the best man win. So is everybody ready? Players, judges, everyone all around.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Good luck, David. Best man win.
You too, brother.
All right. So without further ado, let's get this wrestling debate started. So if you remember in our first wrestling debate match, we talked about who was the best wrestler of all time. Well, now it's time to go from the past to the present. So we wanted to ask our guys, who is the best wrestler in 2017? So we have now decided that Brooklyn, as the first person introduced, you will lead us off. Who is the best wrestler in 2017?
All right. So my choice is definitely an unorthodox one. I had, at the time, I could go through a bunch of different wrestlers, like you could go WWE and New Japan, Ring of Honor. There's so many choices. I went with the person that has been the most consistent from January until now. This person has put on spot-on matches and is such an underrated character in the league that he's. I am going with Neville. At the start of the Cruiserweight, the Cruiserweight Classic was a great thing. It was something that kind of brought that division back. The tournament was awesome. You had TJP as a champion. Then it kind of fell flat. Like 205 Live sucked for a bit, and they didn't know what to do. And it was great because 205 Live sucked at the time. So they're like, perfect. Let's put Neville down in cruiserweights, and we're gonna make him a champ. And he was an awesome champ. What makes him so good is that he has the ability to cut promos by himself. Like you see with these other wrestlers that they have like these groups or these clubs or they have somebody with them. Neville did all this stuff on his own. He had nobody really with him. He cut promos as a fucking awesome heel. I would say he is easily either tied with Miz or better than Miz as the best heel of 2017 in WWE. He's been able to put on awesome matches against everybody, like Austin Aries. The name of the other guy is Takeo Mia. I'm not sure what his name is. I don't want to butcher it anyways. But yeah, he's put on matches that have just been phenomenal and like underrated matches too. Like that match that he had with Austin Aries at WrestleMania, that shouldn't have been on the pre-show. That should have been on the main card. He's been told as one of the champs that can go on for like years. Like he could, like a lot of people said, he should have held the belt for as long as he could, and he would have done well with it. Like, he was awesome as a champ. And the last point that I have is that he has the most protected finisher in WWE. Second to, and maybe even tied to Randy Orton's punt, the Red Arrow is like the most protected finisher of all. So those are my opening statements.
All right, that's a good opening choice. Brooklyn going with Adrian Neville. Haven, how are you going to counter that? Who's the best wrestler in 2017?
I'm kind of easy because WWE sucks. So they determine who gets shine and who doesn't. Neville, as Pac, was a great independent wrestler, so I can understand why you picked him. But if the Cruiserweight division didn't happen, Neville would never have a title in WWE. But my pick for best wrestler in 2017, I'm going across the seas to Japan. From New Japan Pro Wrestling, I'm picking Tetsuya Naito. One, he is a former IWGP Heavyweight Champion. He is a former IWGP Intercontinental Champion, a former Never Openweight Champion. He is a former NWGP Tag Team Champion and a former NWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champion. He is also the two-time winner of the G1 Climax from 2013 to 2017. He won the New Japan Cup in 2016. He is the leader of the best faction in wrestling today, Los Ingobernables de Japón. And right now, the Wrestling Observer has him with 4 5-star matches in his career. Enough said.
All right, that's good opening arguments for both guys. Now, here's how the next stage of this debate is going to go. I'm going to give you both of you guys 4 minutes to debate amongst each other. Whenever you start talking, the time will begin. Whenever you stop talking, your 4 minutes will pause. Whenever both of your 4 minutes have expired, I will then jump in, and then we will then give 30-second closing arguments for each of you. So, Brooklyn, you led off the conversation. You will begin. Your 4 minutes will begin when you start talking.
Haven, I love you, man, but you didn't pick the best wrestler out of New Japan to begin with. Like you rambled off all these stats that he has, but these are stats. Like the question was, who was the best wrestler in 2017? And to be honest with you, I was surprised you didn't pick Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega was the best wrestler in New Japan for sure by a mile. So like you didn't pick the best wrestler there. Like he had 6-star matches. Like Dave Meltzer fucking loves the guy. Being able to put on great promos. Like he has this dream match with Chris Jericho coming up. You picked poorly because like all these stats that you ran off, like these are from his career. We were looking for just from 2017 on. Like Neville had an awesome 2017. Yes, he did good stuff in NXT, and yes, he did good stuff in the Indies, but he brought the cruiserweights back up. Like he made that division important. Like yes, TJP like kind of won the tournament and stuff, but it went down. Like Neville brought that up. He made it recognizable. He had solid matches with everybody. And I just think he made a poor choice, man, because like person had New Japan.
Oh, he's done talking. Okay, I'm gonna jump in. The reason I didn't pick Kenny Omega is because Kenny Omega had great matches in 2017, but Naito is the one that came. He rose like a phoenix from the ashes and built his career in 2017. He has the most recognizable stable in Los Ingobernables de Japón. He is the one that's going to be main eventing Wrestle Kingdom 12, not Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega is not winning the IWGP Heavyweight Championship this year. He has to fight. He's luckily that Chris Jericho came in to wrestle him because now he has a match on that card. My boy Naito is going to headline the main event. Your boy Neville is back looking for indie shows. Yeah, he might have he didn't win a tournament in WWE. They let TJP win that tournament. He failed. Neville won that title, and yeah, he elevated a tournament for 2 whopping months. And 205 Live, who the fuck watches that? Nobody fucking cares. Neville is a great wrestler, but he ain't shit as the best wrestler in 2017s. I'm good.
take away the faction from the wrestler. I just want to butcher his name. Take away the faction. Take away that faction. Is he still a great wrestler? Like Neville's been able to do such awesome promos on his own. Like he had a fucking awesome rivalry with Austin Aries. Like that should have been like main level stuff, and it was underrated. And you even see now, like with Neville gone, like they don't know what to do because he was such a great talent. He was such an awesome heel. He was, like, you know what? Like even with his finisher, like take away the red arrow, like his finisher, the Rings of Saturn. Like he was like, you know what? You see all these cruiserweights that have fucking like high flying moves. Here's my finisher. I'm gonna do like a 450 frog splash. Gonna do all this kind of flying stuff. He's like, no, fuck you. I'm gonna have a submission move. Do Rings of Saturn because fuck this. I'm the king of the cruiserweights, and this is why.
And he's done.
Like he's
not even in the cruiserweights anymore. He's the king of the has-been cruiserweights. Neville was a great wrestler, but he never did shit on Raw. Austin Aries and Neville are both gone.
He left because WWE fucked him over, though.
That program is going to be a blimp in 2017. My boy, yes, he leads the greatest faction, but he doesn't need the faction to cut great promos. He came from the ashes. That's why I brought up in 2013, he won the IG Climax, and they treated him like shit, like a joke. In 2017, he won it again. Now the people love him in New Japan. Every time he comes to the ring, everybody's praising his name. They're clapping for him. They respect him as a wrestler. He's a great in-ring competitor. You know, he doesn't have to do screwy finishes like in WWE. He doesn't have to have run-ins. This guy goes 20, 30, 40 minutes a match. Neville gets 5 to 7 minutes a match. Woohoo! Wow, that is so great for a bathroom break.
It's where you're wrong. It's where you're wrong, man. It's where you're wrong. Let's go to Stone Cold. Let's go to Stone Cold. One of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Did he need a faction to do his great promos? That's the thing, man. You need even with Kenny Omega, the person that you should have picked, like he needed a faction to build himself up. And I find that's what happens with wrestlers in New Japan. They're so set on these factions to build up wrestlers, and it's so cliquey and all this and whatnot. In WWE, you're allowed to run solo. Like Neville has been able to run solo. AJ Styles has been able to run solo. Like AJ Styles, like even AJ Styles would have been a better pick, man. Like he's taken WWE by storm. Fucking awesome matches with John Cena. Like he easily had match of the night at the Royal Rumble in February with John Cena. That was a fucking. And then now coming up next week, he gets to battle Brock Lesnar. Like even that, that's a dream match. Like if that match wasn't happening, that's a dream match for anybody.
Yeah.
A poor pick. Like you're not about these stats before 2017.
You're supposed to be defending Neville, but you're bringing in other wrestlers. Stone Cold. You're bringing in
other wrestlers.
You're bringing in AJ Styles. Where are you going, brother? Where are you going with this? I think you're lost right now, brother. I think I hit you with the KO. I think you're hitting the KO, brother.
Like he's take away his faction. Is he still the greatest wrestler of all time? Like Neville doesn't need anybody. Neville's the best on his own. He took a division. He took a division and brought it up.
The greatest wrestler of all time. And New Japan, that's their forte. They always have so many people on the rosters. They always been wrestlers. That's their lineage for 80 years. I'm sorry you don't know New Japan wrestling like I do. I apologize for you.
You didn't even pick the best wrestler of New Japan, man. I was prepped for you to take Kenny Omega because I even talked to friends and they're like, man, you got to pick. Danny's gonna take Kenny Omega, and like you just made a poor choice, dude.
I don't have to pick the obvious choice because I know what I pick is right because I have the stats to back it up. I watch all the matches that he did in 2017.
What stats from before 2017? The question was
two 5-star matches this year. Neville has never had a 5-star match this year. He couldn't even make the goddamn WrestleMania main show. But that's your boy. Where is he now? Where's your boy now? Where the fuck is he?
He left because he got fucked over. WWE doesn't realize his talent. You know what? He could probably go to Ring of Honor. He could go to New Japan. He could go to look at Impact and make a thing. Like he took something as shitty as 205 Live and he brought live, like when that started, that could have easily been like a 2 month, 3 month, like, oh, okay, this is not going well, so we're gonna cancel it. Neville brought that up from the ground, and he made it a fun and exciting thing. He took that stereotype of cruiserweights, and he's like, nah, fuck you guys, I'm gonna make this my own. He made being a heel cool. Like, his promos were sick. Like, you could
Naito promos are better.
I love to hate the guy.
Naito promos are better. Naito has more matches in tournaments in New Japan, lasting 30 minutes each fucking night to prove himself, while Neville has became relevant to bathroom breaks. The women have better matches now than Neville had in 205 Live. Come on, man.
All right. Both guys, 4 minutes have come up. So what we're going to do, each of you are going to get a final 30 seconds to make your final case of why your guy is the best wrestler of 2017. Bring everything you got. So, Brooklyn, we're going to start with you. You get 30 seconds, and I'll count you down.
Neville was clearly the better wrestler because he's had consistent matches throughout this year. Yes, the wrestler that you mentioned had these 2 5-star matches, but Neville has been consistent from January to now. I wasn't talking about anything from 2017 before. From 2017 to now, he's had stellar matches. He brought a division back up from the ground and made it reasonable. He's done so much good promos on his own. Doesn't need factions. Doesn't need anybody else beside him. He's just him and him on his own. Best heel, most effective finisher.
All right. Naito is the best wrestler in 2017. He's proven himself from being a joke and a laughingstock in New Japan to headlining Wrestle Kingdom 12. He has won the G1 Climax 2 times. In 2017, he won it. He's had better, longer-lasting matches than Neville has. Neville only fought in cruiserweight matches. He had a glass ceiling, and then he quit. What is he going to do for the rest of this year? Nothing. Where are you going to watch his last match at in 2017? Nowhere.
Whew. That was great opening round there. That was brought a lot of facts, brought a lot of passion. They were just smacking each other down. I'm interested to see where our judges are going to go. So for both of you that don't know, even though I'm the main judge, I don't have the final say. This will be a majority vote. So whoever has the most in their favor will win each round. I actually got to think a little bit longer about who I'm going to go with. So I'm going to start with Mark. Who do you got in this? This was pretty close.
It is a close fight. I love both choices. However, unfortunately, Haven, you chose a lot of Naito's career out of the last 3-4 years. You've mentioned that he's had 2 5-star matches. I was just fact checking it. He has had 3. But you were unable to name them, and basically just pulling without naming them, it just sounded like you were just naming the 2 matches, which the 3 5-star matches are with Tanahashi, Michael Elgin, and Kenny Omega. Those after fact checking, those are the 3 5-star matches that he's had. However, you mentioned a lot of his outside of 2007 career. You weren't able to capitalize a lot on what he's done this year. Yes, he won the G1, but that's the only thing that you were able to name outside of the 2 5-star matches. And with Brooklyn, he was able to stick to the 2007 year for Neville, with him bringing up the 205 Live division and the TV show. Him being him, Austin Aries, and his feud with Akira Tozawa. Just with everything that he was able to do for the division and all the matches, and yes, he was able to have probably the best match at WrestleMania this year. And unfortunately for him, he was unable to control the stuff that he was able to control. Brooklyn did mention a lot that he was able to do. So unfortunately for Haven, my point goes to Brooklyn on this one with Neville of 2017.
You're fucking liar. That's why.
All right, let's keep it PG, folks, because we all love PG. So we got one vote for Brooklyn right now. Hunter, do you agree with Mark's verdict?
Well, I wrote down pretty much everything they said. I do agree with Mark in the fact that Brooklyn brought up a lot of 2017 now, how he brought up the Cruiserweight division, how he had stellar matches with Akira Tozawa, with Aries. He brought up those feuds that people love. He brought up the fact that he had the best match at Mania. Haven, you brought up the fact that Naito did win the G1 Climax this year, but you didn't really – you focused too much on his previous past where he was all these champions. That's good, but it wasn't in 2017. That was his career. He also, the fact that he brought up the protection of the finisher, Brooklyn was good. The Red Arrow is really being protected. And the fact that he brought up Neville being a very good heel by, taking away the high flying from the cruiserweights and saying, no, F you fans, I'm going to tap someone out with this submission hold that hadn't been used in years. I just feel like Haven focused too much on his career and not in 2017. You did bring up the fact that he is main eventing Wrestle Kingdom this year. But overall, I would have to give it to Brooklyn.
Yeah, I was leaning on the fence there too. I mean, Haven, the one bullet shot I think you could have had is he had a sorry-ass match with Enzo Amore at the last pay-per-view. Because I think that could have been a total kill shot right there, and he didn't quite hold out. So, unfortunately, I got to go with the verdict as well. I think I got to go with Brooklyn there with Adrian Neville, even though I don't really agree with that choice, but he brought the facts, and I got to go with Brooklyn. So Brooklyn is now up 1-0. So we now go to the next question.
Holy crap!
Well, even the villain agrees, so I guess he.
I brought up his resume 30 seconds into my argument, but that's all you guys listen to, so that's great.
You kept talking about his past career and Wrestle Kingdom, which Wrestle Kingdom is January 4th, 2018.
True enough. All right, so we had a heated debate in question 1. I think it's only going to get hotter with question 2. Speaking of shit and Enzo Amore, let's now talk about more shit. TNA. My God, they've had some pretty bad pay-per-views over the years, but now we need to talk about the best of the best, or the worst of the worst, or the best of the best. Today's question is, what is the worst TNA Impact pay-per-view of all time? Well, let's get the Drek underway. Let's start with Haven. What's the worst TNA pay-per-view ever?
I chose the worst TNA pay-per-view is going to be TNA Hardcore Justice 2010, a pay-per-view that none of their active wrestlers were on. At the current time, the roster had Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, Matt Morgan, The Pope, Jeff Hardy, Abyss, James Storrs, Robert Roode, Motor City Machine Guns. But they wanted to do a tribute to ECW, which they couldn't even use the name. They couldn't even say the name on TV. Dixie Carter had to go EC Dub, and the rest of the fucking idiots in TNA. All right, match number 1. FBI defeated Kid Cash, Swinger, Johnny Swinger, and Simon Diamond. Fucking out-of-shape fat old men. Second match, Too Cold Scorpio defeated C.W. Anderson. Who gives a fuck about those guys? Third match, Stevie Richards defeated P.J. Paloka. Wow. Woo!
Just incredible, by the way.
That is bringing a lot of heat to the ring. The fourth match, Rhino defeated Al Snow. And remind you, this was 2010. This wasn't in 2003. Al Snow was way past his prime. Nobody gives a shit. Match number 5 was Team 3D versus they defeated fucking 2 other jobbers from ECW's past. Match number 6 was Raven defeated Tommy Dreamer, which who gives a shit in 2010. And then RVD defeated Sabu, which was great in 2007 when WWE had the one night stand. But in 2010, This was the most shitty pay-per-view. It slapped the face to all the other wrestlers on that roster. It was a disrespect to the TNA talent at the time. It was a disrespect to the fans, and it was a waste of time. No belts were on the line, and none of these guys signed on after. Why the fuck did you make this a pay-per-view? Close arguments.
All right, one bad pay-per-view from TNA from the villain. Let's see what Brooklyn has to counter. What shit have you come up with when it comes to TNA's greatness?
Holy crap, what a steaming pile of dog shit do I have for you. If you were to go to 100 casual wrestling fans and you were to say, guys, what is the worst TNA pay-per-view you could think of? Without even hesitation, it's Victory Road 11. This pay-per-view on paper has so much fucking potential. Like, dream matches galore in here, but they botched it fucking miserably. Like, you start off with the opening match of Bully Ray versus Tommy Dreamer in a hardcore match. Like, just like that thought process alone should have been fucking unreal. But they had fucking blow-up dolls in the match. They had Devon interfere only to have Bully Ray get 3D. Like, that's a big fuck you. Like, that shouldn't have happened to begin with. And they had the face win. You had matches RVD versus Mr. Anderson. That match ended horribly. Like, that was a number one contenders match, and that ended in a count out. And they were like, they were booking it as like, oh man, see the rematch this Thursday. Like, that match should have been crazy. Like, RVD and Mr. Anderson, and there was a botched move. I believe RVD tried to do a leapfrog, and Mr. Anderson was going too slow, and like RVD landed on top of him, trying to play it off as if it was real. Like, it was fucking unreal. You had an awful women's tag team match. I can't even remember their names. It's just fucking horrendous.
Correction, it was a 4-way match, not a tag team match. But go ahead.
Well, it was a match for the tag. Like, it was a match for the knockout tag team championship. That match was fucking horrendous. Like, just spot after spot.
As it corrections that, it was a tag team match for the women's knockout title. Sorry.
Yeah. You had awful matches. Like, you had Beer Money versus Inc. You had a pre-Young Bucks in a 4-way. I'm not quite exactly sure what it's called, but it was a match for the X division, and then the cream of the crop, like the main event of this match, the match that should have been fucking unreal. Like, it should have been an excellent dream match. Jeff Hardy versus Sting lasted 1 minute and 29 seconds. A lot of that was Jeff Hardy just like faking throwing a t-shirt, and even before that, Eric Bischoff had to go on and like ramble on. And he's like, all right, this is going to be a no disqualification match. And then there was a chop. Sting held a choke for 2 seconds. Sting death drop, win. And even after the match, Sting was pissed off. Like you had people cheering after the match. This is bullshit. And Sting was like, yeah, I agree. So without hesitation, Victory Road 11 is the worst of the piles of dog shit.
Well, this is going to be a whole lot of fun.
You picked the two shittiest, I'll tell you that.
Oh yeah.
There's been quite a lot of bad ones, but yeah, that's the cream of the shit right there.
It's brought back memories.
Yep. So Haven, let's get this show on the road.
My rebuttal, okay. Everybody says that pay-per-view was a decent pay-per-view. It had a fucked up, shitty main event. Everybody agrees on that. But he was incorrect, because the Sting versus Jeff Hardy match lasted 1 minute and 28 seconds, not 1 minute and 29. Jeff Hardy was in a bad place at his time. He was at the lowest of his career. After that, he was able to come back and stay off of the substance, and now he has a good career in WWE. But that, RVD and Mr. Anderson match was okay for what it was. Yeah, it had a count. Who gives a fuck? WWE does that shit all the time. Nobody bitches nowadays. AJ Styles defeated Matt Hardy in a match with Ric Flair as his manager. That was a good match. Beer Money had a great tag team match at that pay-per-view at Victory Road 11. They had a great X Division match. Kazarian won. The Young Bucks were there, formerly Generation Me and TNA. So that was a nice highlight match. And yeah, they had a 4-way women's match or a tag team match, which you know, it is what it is. The first match, you know, it was a Falls Count Anywhere match, not a hardcore match. That's the actual match title. It was a Falls Count Anywhere match. So the pay-per-view it wasn't the greatest, but it wasn't the worst. Yeah, that was one of the worst endings to a pay-per-view because of Jeff Hardy. But again, I picked Hardcore Justice because you brought in all these fucking outsiders to have a Glory Day match for no fucking reason. None of these guys were assigned to your roster. These guys were way past their prime, and it made no sense financially for a company to book all these has-beens from ECW that closed down 10 years ago to have them come to your pay-per-view when you had Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, Matt Morgan, James Storm, Robert Roode, Motor City Machine Guns, you know, Abyss, Jeff Hardy, nowhere on the card. And it was such a throwaway pay-per-view. It made no sense for people to waste their time and their money on it. And I'm done.
So here's the problem that I have with your choice. When I hear the people that are in your pay-per-view, my first instinct is like, who? Like who the fuck are these guys?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're unknowns, but then my expectation goes down significantly. Like you look at the people in my pay-per-view. You have Bully Ray, Tommy Dreamer, Rob Van Dam, Mr. Anderson, Matt Hardy, AJ Styles. You have Sting, Jeff Hardy, Generation Me, Beer Money, Inc. Like you have like the bar is like literally up here. Is about there. Actually, here. Try to get it on the camera. About there. Because I don't know who the fuck is in your pay-per-view. Like my pay-per-view had the bar so fucking high, but they botched it. And like they shouldn't have let Jeff Hardy in the match. Like there's no way that he got that drunk and that stoned that like within let's say like minutes. Like they should have been able to, as a professional company that makes money, that they should have been like, you know what? Jeff Hardy can't compete right now. Let's try and set up something that like maybe he's ambushed by somebody. Maybe you turn the #1 contenders match into a triple threat for the championship. Like you had so much that you could do, but they were just like, nah, fuck it. Like we're just gonna botch it. We're gonna make this like the low light of TNA, and you can't argue that. Like that's the low light of TNA. When you ask any casual fan, what's the worst moment for Sting, for Jeff Hardy, for TNA? It's that match in Victory Road 11. Your match, I don't really care about because the bar is so low. I don't really know. Other than RBD, Sabu, 3D, and yeah, other than that, like really, I don't really care just because the bar is so low.
We're talking about what's the worst pay-per-view, not the worst match of all time. Yes, your match is the worst, but what can they do when Jeff Hardy was the champion? Were they going to strip him that night and then just do another thing? They didn't do that. Like, at least your pay-per-view had quality matches. My pay-per-view had nobody on the roster, you know, that could have had great matches. You know, it was a fucking bullshit pay-per-view that should have never happened in the first place. You know, I would buy Victory Road 11 on DVD. I would never buy Hardcore Justice because who the fuck wants to see any of those has-beens wrestling for 3 hours?
You would buy Victory Road 11 for the same reason that you would buy NASCAR, because you want to watch the crash. Like you want to see the demise. It wasn't just Sting and Jeff Hardy's match that was awful. That RVD Mr. Anderson, that was like one of the worst fucking endings to a match. To have Mr. Anderson do a mic check on the walkway or whatever, just for the end of the count out, like a #1 contenders match. And like even the play-by-play gentleman, like the guy who had been there for years, I can't think of his name right now, but the guy who had
Mike Tenay?
The guy who was calling the match, he needed his notes during the match, and they had mentioned that they had mentioned that if that guy needs notes to continue on with matches, like that storyline just fucked up. And this wasn't a pay-per-view in like, let's say like August or like September, like during that shitty time of wrestling that everybody hates. This was like on the road to their WrestleMania. Like this was in March. This was in like that prime of wrestling where great matches should be happening, and they just shit the bed so fucking badly. Like they had so many awesome matches. Like Bully Ray, like even the first match, Bully Ray versus Tommy Dreamer. That should have been like such an orgasmic match, but it just ended.
In 2011. We're not talking about 2001.
There was a blow up doll in that match. Like it was fucking awful.
That match happened in 2011, not 2001. You expect a good match between Tommy Dreamer and Bully Ray in 2011? RVD and Mr. Anderson had a good match. Yeah, the ending was shit, but the match before that, they were doing good stuff.
They had a botch leapfrog, and they tried to play it off like it was nothing.
That happens
like,
when people compete. There's botches all the time.
Like they were phoning it in. They wouldn't have cared. Like if they truly cared about that pay-per-view, they wouldn't have cared about that botch and like try to make up for it. But they just didn't give a fuck. Like that's the Victory Road sucked because the bar was so high and it just went down. With your matches, like it's just a bunch of no names. So when me as like a semi-casual fan who goes into that, I can watch it like, you know what, my expectations are low because I don't really know who's in this. So you know what, I can have fun with these bad matches. With these matches that I have on my pay-per-view, my bar is so high, and to see them the way they ended and the way that they went down, just horrible. Like it's depressing as a wrestling fan.
Yeah, but at least your matches had TNA wrestlers. If you would have watched the match I said in 2010, you would have never watched TNA after that. Because you thought it was just been old fucking fat dudes from ECW's past. So at least you watched a TNA match in 2011. But in 2010, if you would have watched that match for the first time, you would have never watched TNA again. Because they had no TNA wrestlers.
I'd legit watch pay-per-view because I don't know who the fuck it is. Like that'd be like, yeah, you know what? Let's go check this out. Like I hear this is bad. The people I don't know, so it doesn't ruin my image of TNA. Like Victory Road 11 ruins the image of TNA because you had great wrestlers do fucking garbage matches. Like when you I'll go to the point again. If you line up 100 casual fans and you say to them, what is the worst thing to ever happen in TNA? It is Victory Road 11 with all the matches that they had, and to top it off, the defining moment of Jeff Hardy, the defining moment of TNA is that match that lasted 1 minute and 29 seconds. Had 3 moves.
1 minute and 28 seconds.
1 minute
and 28 seconds. Again.
1 minute 9 seconds.
It's 1 and 28. That's what Wikipedia says. So check your facts. Yeah,
well,
you're basing your whole thing on one shitty ass match. Yeah, and you're basing your opinion on one botch from RVD and Mr. Anderson. When Undertaker for Roman Reigns at WrestleMania, there was a fucking botch, but I don't see people fucking shitting on that thing. But you're basing your shit on a whole one fucking match that lasted 1 minute and 28 seconds and one botch the match before. But the rest of the card was great. The rest of the card was great. AJ Styles was phenomenal. Bear Money had a great match. You know, the women's match was good for the women's match. Kazarian had a good exhibition match. But okay,
the women's match was fucking horrible. Like you had a girl that would like just had the belt like this, and she was standing there for like 10 seconds. She didn't know what the fuck to do because she was waiting for somebody to come in and tackle her. Like there was just
it was
so
2011. That match was still better than any match in WWE in 2011. So I'll rest my case.
All right. Let both of you guys go on a little long there. So we're going to give you guys 30 more seconds apiece. We're going to start with Haven. Shit on your show a little bit more.
Yes, sir. Like I said, Hardcore Justice 2010. No members from the actual roster were on it. When you had Kurt Angle, AJ Styles, Matt Morgan, which was the Blueprint, you know, he was doing really well in TNA at the time. He had a good physique. You know, you had Robert Roode, a future champion. You had James Storm that was willing to go. You had Abyss that was a great wrestler. You had all these guys that were so out of shape. Simon Diamond, C.W. Anderson, P.J. Polick. Like, who the fuck are all these people that you're wasting time on?
Go ahead, Brooklyn.
In my closing arguments, I will mention the one match that I didn't mention. It was Matt Morgan versus, I believe his last name was Hernandez in a first blood match. And they botched that ending so fucking horribly. Hernandez went into the corner to cut himself, but the cameraman fucking followed him. It was just a botched ending, and then they ended up having, like, squirting red food coloring into the match. That pay-per-view had such a high bar with all the people in that pay-per-view, but it shit the bed match after match after match after match. Yes, they had like one good match, but if you polish a turd, it's still a turd.
Time. Oh boy. And for the record, I did shit on Roman Reigns versus The Undertaker, but it's all right. No one cares about that. So, yeah, another great round between both guys. Really bitching about their shows. They really brought their passion, really brought their hate. But at that time, it was easy to bring the hate on TNA. So, Hunter, let's start with you. What's your take on the verdict?
Okay, okay. First, congratulations on picking the 2 worst TNA pay-per-views. Going first to Haven's point, you know, it does make sense of why they did not have any of the current TNA stars. We have no idea. He brought up the disrespect it is to the fans and the company in general. He brought up, you know, the out-of-shape wrestlers. Over on Brooklyn's side, though, he brought up the fact that, or to counteract it, he said that he had low expectations for Hardcore Justice because he didn't really know who was in there. So he had high expectations for Victory Road because it did have the current stars. One good thing that he did brought up was Haven always was like, oh, you know, it didn't have no TNA stars. I like how Brooklyn brought up the fact that this one had current TNA stars, and it ruined the images of most of these, you know, the TNA image. My verdict, though, I would give it to Haven because just the fact that he brought up that they had no current stars, that all the matches were, you know, just out of shape wrestlers that no one really cares about. So, yeah, my decision would have to go to Haven.
Yeah, I was kind of leaning that way, too. I mean, Brooklyn did try to cut it down by saying, well, none of those wrestlers are in the company, so why should I care? But in the way, I think that kind of helped Haven's argument there. Brooklyn did get a lot of stuff in about, you know, the higher expectations about his show being, you know, a bigger failure. But at the same time, you know, even if a show's got low expectations and it still doesn't reach them, I think that still would qualify something being really, really shitty. So it was really close. I think Brooklyn put up a valiant effort there because obviously both shows were shitty. They could have put out a lot of ammunition about both those shit shows. But ultimately, I think I got to agree with Hunter. I got to go with Haven there with Hardcore Justice 2010, that big stinking pile of garbage that it was. So, so that makes us tied, 1 apiece after 2 rounds. But both guys are bringing the firepower. And I think this next question is also going to be very interesting. So, as everybody knows, Survivor Series is just around the corner, and a lot of great Elimination Survivor Series matches have been taking place. We want to now ask our competitors, what was the best Survivor Series elimination match of all time? This is interesting because I thought one match in particular could have been picked that technically could have worked, but it wasn't picked. I might bring that up afterwards. But let's start with Brooklyn. What match have you chosen?
All right. So as somebody my age, I got to watch wrestling from the mid 2000s onward. So going back to hearing this question to kind of see what is the best for my generation and what's best for the league. I would have to say that the best Survivor Series match was in 2005. You had Randy Orton, Batista, Bobby Lashley, and JBL for SmackDown. And then for Raw, you had Kane, Carlito, Shawn Michaels.
Big Show.
Big Show.
Oh, he don't even remember who else was in the match?
Hey, man. You know what? I'm a little camera shy. You know what? I'll get you on some other stuff there. Get you on some other stuff. Love you, man. So this match has been a spot monkey match. Like, there's so many spots that it's just crazy. You have the Shawn Michaels Sweet Chin music into Rey Mysterio's Springboard Splash. Like, you see that in highlight reels on like YouTube videos for every OMG moment. You see that everywhere. You had all of these wrestlers in the prime. Like, you had JBL in his best heel work. You had Randy Orton coming on to the end of his Legend Killer phase. You had Rey Mysterio in doing phenomenal work before he eventually won the Royal Rumble the next year. You had the Big Show and Kane doing stellar work in their tag team monster heel tag teams. Just awesome spots in general, and like a great ending, like to have Randy Orton as sole survivor. And yeah, just a smooth flowing match from start to finish.
All right, he kind of slipped up there for a little bit, but we all know what match he's talking about. So, Haven, what do you got to counter for that?
I don't remember that match at all, but the one match that everybody remembers, that Survivor Series, happens in Survivor Series 1990, and that was the debut of The Undertaker when he was a member of the $1 Million Team. Every match at Survivor Series, from start to finish for the first 12 years, always was the same. You know, a quick roll up, you know, a count out. But the only reason I bring up this match as the best match is because we had the introduction of one of the greatest living legend wrestlers of all time, and that is The Undertaker. Nobody's seen him before that. $1 Million Man said he had a surprise member for his team, and when that debut happened, we witnessed history with 25 years of one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. You know, less than a year later, he beat Hulk Hogan for the WWF Championship. You know, just coming fresh in the company. Nobody did that before him. You know, Undertaker has just had a milestone of a career. Matches are matches when it comes to Survivor Series. I don't know what the fuck happened in 2005. I don't even know if every match on the card was Survivor Series format, because WWE doesn't do that anymore. They do one match now. I went back to the old school when they did every match that way, when teams were teams, you know. That's why I picked that one, because back in, you know, what is the greatest Survivor Series match? None of them. But the debut of Undertaker, that is the greatest match, because that's the first time we've seen him in WWF, and he became a legend in the world, and he became a favorite in our hearts.
All right, interesting tactics there by the villain. Let's see if his heel antics will succeed. Brooklyn, start talking.
So just a correction in my opening statement. Chris Masters was the other person on Team Raw that I had missed. The question I bring back to Haven: who was in your match other than Undertaker? Like, yeah, it was Undertaker's debut, but he had so many better matches to go on after that. In my 2005 Survivor Series match, you had all the wrestlers in their prime. Like, I rewatched it again, like, just this morning. JBL had a fucking awesome match. He had some really good spots. He was the finisher well. He was the one that ended up knocking out Shawn Michaels cold in his match. He did the, I believe it's like the fireman suplex or whatever. Like, brought him back, knocked him out cold. He had some really nice clotheslines. Rey Mysterio did some awesome work. He's doing some dirty stuff. Randy Orton just doing classic legend killer Randy Orton stuff. But I don't like you mentioned Undertaker in your opening argument. I don't even know who else is in your match. Like, you mentioned the $1 million team, but it's like, I don't even really know. Like, you mentioned Undertaker. That's it. I don't even know who won your match, like the process of the match, like any cool spots. So I'm just flat here.
No, I apologize. I didn't know you were a fanboy and all you thought about was spots. In my match, we had the tag team champions, which was the Hart Foundations, on the main team as the good guys team. We had $1 Million Man, who was a top mid-card heel at the time. And it doesn't matter who was in the card when you had the Undertaker's debut. Like, it was the first match of the night, you know, and it was the first time we seen Undertaker. Your match in 2005, you say these guys were in their prime, and those guys had cool spots. Woo! That's so fucking great for a pay-per-view. They had some cool, awesome spots. No, we witnessed Undertaker just being born for the first time, and at that pay-per-view, now that I read the dirt sheets, we don't know what could have happened, because they had the gobbledygooper. They had the fucking egg out there the whole time. But Undertaker came out with Brother Love as a manager. They dropped him really quick, and he got Paul Bear as one of the best managers of all time. And the match itself was mediocre. I ain't gonna lie. Every match in Survivor Series history has been mediocre, you know. But we had a debut of a legend. Your match had guys in a match, and it was a good match. That's okay. That's nice. Who won your match? Do you even remember who you won your match? No,
Team,
right?
SmackDown won my match. Consider Randy Orton was the only survivor. During the end of the match, it was 3-1. It was JBL, Rey Mysterio, and Randy Orton take on Shawn Michaels, who was out cold in the corner from the JBL, like the fireman suplex or whatever.
That's not the correct.
But you go on
not a fireman suplex. There's no wrestling. There's no fireman. You talking about a fisherman suplex? What's the fireman suplex? JBL doesn't have that move. So what are you talking about? What move?
Fallaway slam.
What move are you talking about? You don't even know what the moves are, and you're a wrestling fan. Come on, man.
You know what? Hey, listen. If you're gonna be nitpicky about that, man, then I'm done with this. Like you go on, like the.
All right, here's the facts. Here's the facts.
Listen, no. Let me talk. You've been going on for a while. Let me talk. You're the flaw in your argument is that the match for you is so like nostalgic. Is that it's Undertaker's debut. Undertaker wasn't like this great phenomenal, wasn't this great right off the bat. Like he had a span of career. I would say his best work is in the late 90s to early 2000s, like mid 2000s, when he brought back that dead man gimmick. You go on YouTube and you check out highlight videos, OMG moments. You try to find a highlight video that doesn't have Shawn Michaels hitting Rey Mysterio as he's going for the springboard splash. Yes, I love spots because spots are what make it memorable. Yeah, Undertaker made his debut, but he had so many better matches after that. Had chemistry. It had flow. You had
the match you're talking about wasn't the best match of their career.
Wrestlers. You're focused on just the Undertaker making his debut. You mentioned the Hart Foundation once, and you mentioned
that's the best Survivor Series match. In less than a year, he beat Hulk Hogan, the top wrestler of all time in that era, for the WWF Championship. How many times has Hulk Hogan lost that title? Yes,
that's your fault. You're going on about after Survivor Series. Like you're not like the question was, what was the best Survivor Series match?
And that was
hands
down the Undertaker's debut.
Bro, you're stuck on Undertaker. Like you're stuck on his debut and like, oh man, Undertaker's gonna be the GOAT. 25 years. He's had the best career 25 years. We're talking about right now. You know who he could compare similarly to? Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the GOAT, but where did he start off? He was some like 6th round, 250 overall pick. He wasn't the GOAT right away. He had to work for that. Same thing with Undertaker. Undertaker wasn't the greatest right off the bat. He had matches later, and that Survivor Series match clearly wasn't the showcase where he was the best. And like I don't really know. I don't know who on your match. I don't know anything that happens. Any cool spots. Any cool stream scenario matchups. I don't really know anything about your match.
Oh, you want some spots? I'll give you some spots. When Bret Hart came off the ropes, Undertaker chokeslammed him down to a pin. Undertaker went off the top ropes to his infamous clothesline. At the end of the day, my debut wrestler is a living legend compared to all your guys. He stacks up way better than all the roster that was in your match. He has better matches, a better career.
I agree. But when you ask casual fans of The Undertaker, what's his best match? Nobody says his debut at Survivor Series.
I doubt they say fucking Survivor Series 2005, your match.
What was the best Survivor Series match? Not who had the best debut. What was the best Survivor Series match? And my match had the best flow from start to finish. You had great spots. You had excellent uses of finishers. You had a great finish. And you had almost a comeback with Shawn Michaels. With you, I don't know how your match went. All I know is that Undertaker made his debut, and he went on. He went on after Survivor Series, after that Survivor Series match, to be the greatest wrestler. I will admit that he is the greatest wrestler of all time, but he is not known specifically for that match in Survivor Series. That's all I've got to say.
Yes, he is, because I just Googled it, and I said the best known Survivor Series, and everything comes up Undertaker's debut. So your match might have been a good match in that year, but it wasn't the best match of that year, or it wasn't the best match of the Survivor Series. Nobody remembers that. Hunter, Mark, I doubt they even remember that shit you're talking about. They remember
your argument is so stuck on that it's under your argument is so stuck on that it's Undertaker's debut. That's all I got to say. That's it. I'm done.
All right. Well, if Brooklyn's done, Haven, you technically have 45 more seconds in your 4-minute debate. If you want to just run that off now, we'll go to the closing arguments after that.
Yes, sir. you know, Brooklyn, you know, me and him got heated right there, you know, because we're both fans and we love the sport of wrestling. Survivor Series is it's a pay-per-view that doesn't happen the way it used to. The format has changed so much. When people think of Survivor Series, the first thing they think of is, oh, Undertaker's debut. They don't think about, oh, I remember that match in 2005. Yeah, that was a good Survivor Series match. Nobody says that shit. That's a fucking lie. You know, the one thing, yeah, I might have stuck my argument on the Undertaker's debut because from there, his career just skyrocketed. He's a living legend, and maybe the match wasn't the best match of all time, you know, but realistically, there's no Survivor Series match that if you ask 100 people, that 50 people are going to say this match in this year was the best match of all time. They're going to say, oh yeah, I remember that was Undertaker's debut for the $1 Million Team. You know, everybody remembers that. Nobody remembers that 2005 match. Like, seriously, when I look up Shawn Michaels hits, I see him on a Raw when he fought Shelton Benjamin, Sweet Chin Music him off the fucking rope. I don't remember that Rey Mysterio one. That shit don't show up on YouTube as a highlight. You know, JBL, fuck him.
For the record, I remember that match, but that's just me.
So do I.
Well, you're an encyclopedia of wrestling.
Well, thank you. At least you're willing to admit it. So, yeah, let's go to these closing arguments. Let's start with Brooklyn. You got 30 more seconds to make your case.
Oh, it's John o'clock, motherfucker. You get nothing about your match. The question was the best Survivor Series match. I don't know nothing about your match. You were going on about it's the Undertaker's debut. My match had 10 wrestlers who were in their prime. They had awesome spots. They had great chemistry, a great ending, and some of the best work between little guys, big guys, just such a great flow of a match. And when you think about that era, you think about those 10 wrestlers in particular. For your argument, all I know is Undertaker.
What era? 2005? That's not a fucking era. Anyway, my match was a traditional Survivor Series match. Every match was 4-on-4. We didn't do 5-on-5s then. You know, WWF or WWE didn't do 5-on-5s. That was one fucking Survivor Series match on that whole card. I picked a good match with a good debut in the traditional format what they were running all the time at that era. And everybody remembers The Undertaker. $1 Million Man won that match, and he was a top heel at the time with a good match. The best match of that card. Thank you.
Time. All right, another heated debate.
And a little fact check now that the debate's over. Just trying to do a little fact checking with Google and best Survivor Series elimination matches.
I did that as well.
Haven, I've come up with one that should the 25 elimination matches. Your match is number 19, and just here that Brooklyn's match is number 5 in top 25 matches.
I looked up. I went on Collider, or not Collider. WhatCulture.com. They have a top 10 Survivor Series elimination match. Haven's match is not even on the list, and Brooklyn's 2005 match made number 6.
I was going to bring that up too, and for the record, Haven brought this up. He said, he called Brooklyn out about not knowing everybody that's in the match. Look, Haven, I'm going to put you to the test right now, and I actually, in honesty, my argument right now, because I'm going to go first. If you can run off everybody that's in your match, I will give you the point.
Without looking it up.
Yeah, don't look it up, because you should know.
My hands are right here. I'm not looking shit up. My hands are right here.
All right.
I actually, I wrote everything down, but I didn't write down the competitors in the match. I know, okay, it was the Hart Foundation, the Coco Beware, and I believe the other face, shit, was, I don't know who the other face was, but it was the $1 Million Man. It was, I believe, Undertaker, there was so many people on that card and so many different names. Every team had a name that I didn't bother to write that down. I should have, but I didn't. So, whatever.
I mean, that was kind of the case I was trying to make. I mean, you called out Brooklyn about not knowing everybody in his match and talking about
he never named all 5-on-5. Okay, Brooklyn, name all 5-on-5 then.
all 5 people in my match. In Team SmackDown, you had JBL, Rey Mysterio, Batista, Randy Orton. On Team Raw, you had Carlito, Kane, Big Show, Chris Masters, and the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn motherfucking Michaels.
Well, you missed one for Team SmackDown. You only list 4, so you don't even know all 10. So
I said JBL, Batista, Rey Mysterio, Randy Orton, and Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
oh, Bobby, last minute. Okay.
And Haven, for your match, it was Rhythm Blues versus Undertaker and his Undertaker and DBS. So Greg the Hammer Valentine.
Yeah, Honky Tonk.
And Honky Tonk Man. And the guy you were missing for the dream team was the captain of the team.
Dusty Rhodes.
Dusty Rhodes.
Oh yeah,
actually played.
That's who got counted out for Undertaker. That's right. It just back in the day,
Plays a
every
big
team
factor
had a
in
name.
Undertaker in that match.
That's how Undertaker got counted out, because he fought Dusty Rhodes in the ramp. But yeah, that's right. It's just that every time then they actually were creative. They had a name for each team. Like your match was SmackDown versus Raw. Like, woo, that's so creative.
Well, that's WWE.
Yeah, well, Brooklyn did bring up the fact that you kind of focused too much on the Undertaker, which to me is a big deal. I mean, you kind of passed it off that it's not a big deal, but to me it was, because the point was the match. And for me personally, I mean, when we talked about best elimination matches, I was wondering if somebody was going to bring it up, but I technically would have actually said Elimination Chamber 2002, because technically that would have counted.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
I thought
How would that count? Unless it was at a Survivor Series pay-per-view?
Yep.
it was.
Survivor Series, 2002.
It was
The
the World Heavyweight Championship win.
But that's not a traditional Survivor Series match.
The question was best Survivor Series elimination match. So technically it could have counted, but that's all right.
No one knows that. I'm thinking that, I believe it was 2003 with Randy Orton and Shawn Michaels in the finals with that bloodbath.
I don't know. All right, what's y'all decisions?
Yeah, I kind of gave mine. I think I got to go with, Brooklyn, just on fact. I think he focused a little bit more on the match, where I even just focused a little bit more on the Undertaker. Well, it's a big deal. And, he said that, all 10 guys in Brooklyn's match doesn't add up. Well, Shawn Michaels, I think that right there would almost rival it just in itself. So, me personally, I got to go with Brooklyn. You might doubt it, but I disagree with that. So, I got to go with Brooklyn there. Let's go with Mark. What's his verdict?
Also, Haven, another fact check. Undertaker did not eliminate Bret Hart. Ted DiBiase eliminated Bret Hart to win the match. Mm-hmm. I watched both.
I said he eliminated Coco B. Weird, and then he got counted out.
Undertaker chokeslammed Bret Hart to eliminate Bret Hart.
He did. Well, I said he chokeslammed him off the ropes.
Man, you said that he pinned him. So
okay, all right.
Also, you did focus too much on Undertaker. Undertaker wasn't a big part of the match, in all honesty. He didn't do a lot. Like, he tombstone Coco to eliminate him, and then after Dusty Rhodes. And
he was in the match for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, you focused a lot on Undertaker, and he had a very small role in the match. Brooklyn, on their other hand, focused a lot on the matchup itself and everything that happened. The emotional connection at the end with Randy Orton and Shawn Michaels. So I'm also going to have to go with Brooklyn in this one.
Okay, but I don't remember him ever saying emotional connection at the end with Shawn Michaels or Randy Orton. He never put those two names together.
He did.
At all.
He talked about how you got involved with how Shawn Michaels super kicking Rey
Mysterio, but he never said Randy Orton at all in his whole argument. Okay.
I meant that in the general feeling of the match.
No, you can add words, but it's cool.
I did mention that Randy Orton was the sole survivor in that match.
Yeah, he did.
And that was the last person in the team, bro.
No.
And how you got involved because it goes to 3-on-1.
Yeah.
No, he was a better man in that round. He had an actual match. I did.
And on a side note, thanks for bringing up that our Brother Love came out with The Undertaker, Haven. Now I got to change one of my questions for the showdown match between Alex and Mark. Thank you very much.
You just know that.
That was actually too easy, though.
That's too.
Right.
Come on. Hey,
I'm
Haven brought up.
off for that match.
Haven literally asked you, Hunter, in your match with me, what pay-per-view did The Undertaker debut at?
True.
Literally got that question. So let's not talk about what's too easy and not.
True.
Touche. So let's move on with all the humor and comedy and banter and shit being thrown at each other. It is now 2-1 in favor of Brooklyn, but I know Haven's passion can come right back. I know he can tie this game up very quickly. So wrestling fans all around the world got pretty buzzed over the last week when we found out that at Wrestle Kingdom 12, we found out, obviously it was brought up earlier in the match, that Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega. So we wanted to ask you guys a pretty fun question. You know, you could go pretty much any direction with this, but we wanted to know, what is the dream match that both of our players would like to see in 2017 or 2018? I think this is going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait to hear what you guys have got to say. Let's start with Haven. What is your dream match that you want to see?
I'm gonna go back inside because it's starting to rain out here. My dream match that I picked was solely in WWE because that's where everybody watches. I didn't want to just say a match that's not realistic. My dream match right now, before I'm slowing time down so I could get back in the house. Okay, I'm back. My dream match
first.
My dream match for 2018 is the current WWE champion AJ Styles versus the current United Kingdom champion Pete Dunne. Do you want me to say more, or we're gonna?
You can go on as long as you want.
Oh, okay. That is my dream match because one, it's a possibility that it could happen. I didn't pick AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar because we're gonna see that match. Everybody else in WWE at the moment fought each other numerous times. There is no dream matches there. There's no 5-star matches. I don't give a shit if you bring somebody from NXT up to the roster. Nobody is a dream match candidate. So I picked two guys that are on the same roster that could go. AJ Styles is 5'11". Pete Dunne is 5'10". AJ Styles has a great wrestling history. He is a 2-time IWGP heavyweight champion. He is a 2-time TNA heavyweight champion. He is a 3-time NWA heavyweight champion. He's a 6-time TNA X Division champion. Oh, look, there's no sheet. This is all memory. Pete Dunne is one of the best new stars from the current European scene. And he's had the only 5-star match this year from NXT. Which match was it? Oh, him versus Tyler Bates for the United Kingdom Championship. He made his debut on Raw this past week and beat Enzo, a fucking bum that Brooklyn was talking about earlier with Neville, that nobody gives a shit about none of those guys. I think these guys, if they had a 25 to 35-minute match, I believe it could be a 5-star match because there's nobody else on the WWE roster that could pull off a 5-star match. If you want to see AJ Styles and Nakamura, go back to a year or two in New Japan Wrestling. Who else is there? Dean Ambrose? That bum can't pull a 5-star match out. All these two guys, if they were let loose and were ready to go and were given the green light, these guys could have a 5-star match. And I think that this is the best match that WWE could offer right now. Two champions going at it. Brooklyn.
Okay, I think we got a first here. Haven bringing his passion about a wrestling debate while running out of a rainstorm. So let's go to Brooklyn now. What is your dream match that you most want to see in 2017-18?
All right. So my dream match is actually going to be, once again, cross-promotional. At first I was stuck between, well, you could do Kenny Omega versus essentially insert WWE superstar here, like John Cena, AJ Styles, anybody. But I was like, you know what? There's so much tag team potential in between the various promotions. Let's do a tag team match. So why not start off with the greatest tag team on the planet, the Young Bucks, with Kenny Omega as their manager, because we can't do 3-on-3, against the Shield in terms of Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. This match prints itself money. This match, again, is just filled with spots. Yes, I might be a spot monkey, but spots make money. This match could be hyped up so much. The Young Bucks, currently the best tag team on the planet. They're dominating the indie scene. They had a fucking phenomenal match at the Ring of Honor Supercard last year with the Hardy Boys. Another dream match scenario. Then you have Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins. And to be honest with you, the two best tag team workers right now. Like, they have so much passion. They work so great on their own that they can work their individual talents together against that Young Bucks style that is just like full of kicks, it's a lot of chemistry, like, and that clash of wrestling styles would go so well, and you could hype this up so much, because these, like, when you think of wrestling in the past 5 years, you think of Young Bucks and tag team, and you think of the Shield. That's your dream match.
Wow.
All right. I don't think I need to say any more. I think you guys know how this goes now.
Yep.
Ethan, you can take it away.
Actually, I do have some. I can wait till after. Never mind.
Yeah. Okay.
What happened?
Take it away, Hayden.
Oh, okay. It's hard to argue with a WWE fanboy, because that's all I hear coming out of Brooklyn's mouth. The Shield? Are you fucking kidding me? A great tag team? Wow. Oh shit. Seth Rollins is mediocre. He's okay in WWE. He was way better on the indie scene as Tyler Black. Dean Ambrose is a shit in WWE. That guy, every time he has a belt, is fucking boring. Yes, Young Bucks are a great tag team because they know how to work the crowd. All they do is super kicks. But that's your dream match. When I have two wrestlers going one-on-one, two champions going one-on-one for a 30-minute classic that WWE should do if they were smart with their money. Everybody on their roster right now, I'm picking two people from their roster that they will actually print money for, because we already seen AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. We're about to see AJ Styles versus Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is about to fight AJ Styles because nobody else on their roster is good enough to face Brock Lesnar except the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. You want two wrestlers that are 5'8" and 5'9" as the Young Bucks to what? To open a show against the Shield? That's not a main event, and that's your dream match? Are you fucking kidding me? That's your dream match for next year. Wow. Like, bro, I hope you bought your Seth Rollins t-shirt. I hope you got your Heath Slater hat and your Tyler Breeze little boots and camera, because it seems like you're just a fanboy at the moment, man. And I don't understand what you're talking about.
Man, you're like your match doesn't make sense. Like,
why not?
Yes, AJ
Two great
Styles.
wrestlers.
Your match doesn't make sense right now. AJ Styles is the GOAT. He's the GOAT of WWE right now. Pete Dunne, like for that to be a dream match, it has to resonate with hardcore fans and casual fans. Hardcore fans, definitely yes, like this is fucking awesome. But with casual fans, it just doesn't work enough for that to be such a hyped match. My match, you have these people that fit well with hardcore fans and casual fans. Young Bucks right now dominating New Japan, Ring of Honor, all that. They're dominating anything that essentially isn't WWE and Impact. The Shield, they've been the dominant faction of the 2010s. when as a team, yes, Dean Ambrose is shitty on his own, but when he's with the Shield, when he's with Seth Rollins, they make magic. They have awesome matches. The match that they had with the Wyatt family, that was fucking unreal. I believe it was Royal Rumble 2013. It was a 3-on-3, but their chemistry, like Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins, that chemistry is unreal. You get so many holy shit moments, and those moments make money. Those moments are what makes it memorable. With your match, yes, AJ Styles is good, and yes, Pete Dunne is good. I just don't think that match works because you can't draw enough of a casual crowd for it to be that dream match.
That's incorrect because my boy Pete Dunne only wrestled 2 matches in WWE so far. NXT 5-star match. Okay. When was the last time Dean Ambrose had a 5-star match? Oh, what was that? Never? Okay, thank you. The Shield just came back because Raw's ratings fucking suck. All right, your dream match is against the two tag teams, which is the Young Bucks, a tag team that is great on the independent scenes, and this man would not allow them to do what they do in the ring. And they just came back because they need ratings. Like Pete Dunne, once he comes back, you heard the pop he got on Raw. Like if that dude comes out with that championship, the best looking championship right now in WWE against AJ Styles with a 4-week build, that is
because
a dream match.
He got such a big pop though because they were in the UK. Take Pete Dunne out of the UK. Have him a match in Toronto. Have him a match in Canada. He doesn't get as big of a pop. He got a big pop.
He got a big pop at NXT Takeover.
No, your match isn't a dream match because Pete Dunne hasn't built up his name to casual fans. He built up his name to hardcore fans, but that isn't a dream match. Like it's the styles just don't make sense. I feel like AJ Styles just carries that match too much because just the way that he works with Pete Dunne works. Like Pete Dunne is great, but I just don't know how that clash would work. With my match, like you've had guys that kind of started around the same time. You would have this great storyline. You could have it back and forth. Like with your match, it's just like, all right, AJ Styles is gonna win. How's he gonna win it? With my match, it can go either way. It makes sense storyline wise for either team to win. The Shield could do well to prove WWE is dominant. The Young Bucks could win to prove that they're the best tag team on the fucking planet right now. With your match, it's just so predictable.
It's not predictable because Pete Dunne is a great wrestler and he just has to have the opportunity to show all his skills in WWE. But the last 2 times he came out, he got a great pop because he is better right now than 85% of the roster. And that's why AJ Styles fighting him will be a main event match at any pay-per-view and people will buy it. Your match is great as fanfare. My match is based on reality that could possibly happen.
Your match doesn't make sense though. Like it
don't make sense. It
doesn't make sense. Like if you're gonna go, like I would rather see AJ Styles fight just a more. I would rather see AJ Styles fight like Bobby Roode.
He fought Bobby Roode. He fought Bobby Roode 100 times. He fought Bobby Roode 100 times in TNA. Like AJ Styles fought everybody on the planet. Like who does he need to fight? Pete Dunne. That match, 20-minute match, that's a 5-star match.
No. Like the young Bucks and the Shield is great with the audience that we have now. They've built themselves up to a hype level where it was like say in January, it's like, all right.
What the fuck does a month have to do with it?
The Shield.
My match can happen anytime, and it's a 5-star match.
All right, so the reason why I'm saying January is because that is like the prime time. Like you have the Royal Rumble coming up around that time, I believe, like end of January, late February. You could build it up so that it's like you could have it so that Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins are tag team champions. Are like, you know what, we've been dominating this so long. Who do we take on? Here comes the Young Bucks. They're like, we've been dominating the rest of the wrestling world for so long. We're going to face you guys at your best. It is a term of their best. It is the Young Bucks at their best versus the Shield, who I believe are at their best when they are together. Not solo like you try to get me at. When they're together as a team. Believe in the Shield. Believe in the Young Bucks.
All right. Final arguments. We're going to start with Haven. Take it away.
Well, the Shield is 3 people. So what about if Vince McMahon decided to put Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose in that match? Would that still be a 5-star match with Roman Reigns doing 5 or 6 moves? My match, one-on-one, 2 guys that hold titles. AJ Styles holding the top-tier title in WWE. Pete Dunne holding the best-looking championship in WWE. He is a young guy that I don't know why they haven't pulled the trigger and put him on the main roster yet, because he will be a top-tier wrestler on that roster. He is better than Dean Ambrose in the ring. He is better than Seth Rollins right now in the ring. He is a great wrestler. AJ Styles is the best.
Take away the championships from your match, and is it still a dream match? Mine doesn't need championships for it to be a dream match. They've built up the hype as great tag teams without championships. This match could be without championships, and it would still be an easily match of the night because of what they have done and what they would be able to do in the ring. Their style, the kicking, like that leg style of the Young Bucks versus the all-out tenacity, the brawl style of the Shield and Dean Ambrose, Seth Rollins.
Done. Let me just say right now, I don't think anything's ever going to top this match right here. So I'm glad we did this. You guys have been doing really good, really great.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really close for me. I think both of you guys have really brought some good arguments here. Mark, we're going to start with you. Who you got?
First, I just like to state, like, Haven, at least for me, would you attacking his character directly for being like a WWE fanboy is no, it's not. It doesn't help your case.
I'm the villain, baby.
Yeah, I know, but just like when it comes to attacking his character for being WWE fan, it doesn't help in my on my side. But unfortunately, you are Brooklyn has made a lot of good points. Unfortunately for him, you brought up more of a better case when it comes to AJ Styles versus Pete Dunne as a dream matchup. And as another fact check, Tyler Black's had a 5-star match against Eddie Edwards in ROH, and Dean Ambrose has had a 5-star First Blood match. No, sorry, I Quit match in Dragon Gate USA as John Moxley against Jimmy Jacobs. According to Dave Meltzer. But with that being said, I feel that you have made better cases, and my point's going to Haven on this one.
All right. Hunter, do you agree?
This one was really hard because they're 2 unique dream matches that I wouldn't have thought of. So congratulations on you two for bringing matches that I never thought of. I do want to bring up a few fact checks real quick. Haven, AJ is currently on SmackDown. Pete Dunne, I believe, is signed on Raw, if I'm not mistaken.
And he was just maybe 205.
Oh, okay, so
he's
maybe
not on 205 yet.
Maybe.
We don't know where he signed on. He signed with WWE. That's the only thing we know.
okay. And then for Brooklyn, that Shield versus Wyatt match, I believe, was at Elimination Chamber 2013. Am I right, Mark?
It was.
Sorry, repeat that.
Shield versus
Yeah,
Wyatt.
it was.
Yes, Elimination Chamber, not Royal Rumble. But
Yeah.
man, this is hard because Brooklyn did bring up the fact that you have 2 of the, in my opinion, 2 of the best tag teams today, with the Bucks and the Shield, and you can hype up a lot of dream matchups with that tag team. Haven also brought a good point of AJ being a great pure wrestler, Pete Dunne being a great pure wrestler. I do feel like Haven did focus a lot on the 2 champions, like you have two champions. And I think Brooklyn did a good job of knocking that down where his match doesn't need titles to be a dream match. So I'm going to go with Brooklyn on this one because I feel like he had more of the better points, in my opinion.
All right, so that leaves it up to me. God, the more I think about it, the more close I think this is.
Yeah, our first split,
It's hard.
split up match.
Yeah.
Who's going to get the decision?
I mean, Brooklyn got a lot of points in there about, the relevancy, about how they're both great tag teams and how it'd be a great match and everybody would want to see it. It had more, mainstream fan relevance. But Haven really did a good job of kind of counteracting that about, it's the Young Bucks. Mainstream fans won't know who they are per se either. And, AJ Styles, I think that kind of sells itself when it comes to a possible match with Pete Dunne. I mean, Brooklyn did a good job countering it, saying, what would it be like if it wasn't in the UK? But I think by a narrow margin, I think I got to agree with Mark on this. I think Haven did bring just a little bit more. So
See,
that was tough. That was really tough.
That was a really tough one, but I kind of wish Brooklyn would have brought up the fact that Pete Dunne isn't experiencing the WWE style yet. AJ's had over a year. Pete Dunne just got there. I wish he would have brought that point of if you give Pete time, then possibly it could be a dream match.
It's also you got to take this outside of WWE. This match doesn't have to happen in WWE.
No,
it's outside and you had full on, so you just got to. It's just
I know, but Haven's point was all about taking place in WWE. That's why Brooklyn would have been like, well, Pete Dunne's not seasoned yet. But that's just what I would have brought up. But.
Oh, yeah.
All while calling Brooklyn a WWE fanboy to get a WWE match.
Brooklyn had great points. Brooklyn is a phenomenal debater. It's just that we've seen what happened with the Hardy Boys. They were supposed to be dream matches, and what dream matches have they had in WWE?
Not in WWE, but right before this time with WWE, they had an awesome match with the Young Bucks.
Yep, the ladder match this year.
Yeah, that ladder match was phenomenal. If that match doesn't happen, that's the dream match that I pick.
Yeah, so this match has been really, really close, and the score dictates it. It's now tied 2 apiece. This could go down to the very last question. So what we're going to do is we're going to go down to speed round questions now. Neither of you know what these questions are until they are asked. Whenever I ask the question, only me. Other judges don't even know what these are. So whenever I ask the question, you give what you think the correct answer is. These could be, one wrestler or another, or this could be a little bit more broader questions. Whoever gives the first answer, you will have 20 seconds to make your opening argument, and your opponent will have 20 seconds, and then we will have 20-second rebuttals each, and then it will go down to the judge's decision. So if both our players are ready, we shall begin. May the best man win.
Good luck, Kevin.
All right. Your first speed round question, you brought up, Survivor Series, so let's bring it up again. Here's your question. Both these men debuted at Survivor Series, but who had the better first year? The Undertaker or Kurt Angle?
Kurt Angle.
I would say Undertaker.
All right. So Brooklyn leads that off. He will start with Kurt Angle. Your 20 seconds will begin when you start talking.
Kurt Angle had a better year because he got a better push during his debut. He debuted during a pay-per-view, and he got to do stellar matches. He had easily one of the best matches on SmackDown, Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar, an Iron Man match. He went on to do great stuff with Undertaker. He had a slower build to have a bigger legacy. In the best year, Kurt Angle had the better year as opposed to Undertaker.
Time.
Is it on me?
Yep, it's on you.
Yep.
All right. I'll say Undertaker. Kurt Angle had a great year, but Undertaker had the best debut at Survivor Series because Kurt Angle is a living legend. 25 years. He has a 21-1 streak at WrestleMania. In his first year in WWE, or excuse me, WWF at the time, he beat Hulk Hogan for the WWF Championship. Kurt Angle did not win that belt in his first year. Undertaker did.
Time. All right, 20-second rebuttal from Brooklyn.
you're focused on that streak, man. Yeah, he had a 21-1 record, but it's his best year. Kurt Angle does not need a championship match to have stellar matches. Look at the Iron Man match that he had with Brock Lesnar. That was a stellar match. No championships, no pay-per-views. It was just on SmackDown. Easily one of the greatest matches ever.
John.
Like I said, Undertaker was beating the shit out of everybody his first year. He was the #1 heel. He beat Hulk Hogan at a major pay-per-view and won the WWF Championship. Kurt Angle did not do that in his first year. He might have won the European title, but that ain't shit compared to the WWF Championship.
Time. All right, I'm going to lead this off because I do need to bring something up. Mark's going to say the exact same thing, but technically Kurt Angle did win the WWF Championship in his first year at No Mercy. 2000. That would have been 11 months into his reign, but unfortunately Brooklyn couldn't pull that out. Also, I think Brooklyn focused a little bit more on the overall career, whereas the question was who had the better first year.
Another fact check. That Brock Lesnar stuff was 2003.
Yeah, that wasn't the wasn't the first year. So
that was 2 years after Kurt Angle debuted.
Yeah, so unfortunately, he did have one shot that he could have countered Haven with the fact that Kurt did win the WWF Championship in his first year, but he wasn't able to pull it out. So
hardcore title, he won that year.
So
and King of the Ring.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that he could have pulled out, but he wasn't able to do it. So I got to go with Haven on that. I'm guessing our comrades agree with this.
Yeah, I'm also going to agree with that because, for the most part, the question was their first year in. Unfortunately for Brooklyn, you weren't able to name anything he did in his first year. And Haven was, just by the skin of his teeth on this one, Undertaker defeated Hulk Hogan at Survivor Series 1991 for the title.
Yeah,
so that is correct. With that fact, I am going to have to go with Undertaker on this one.
And I said he was the top heel. He was the top heel. You know, I said that.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's majority vote.
I would also give the point to Haven.
Yeah, it was
unfortunately, 2000 is a major year that I remember a lot, and I really started watching wrestling in. And I remember 2000 pretty good. So, like,
and Brock Lesnar wasn't even there in 2000.
No, yeah, just signed with developmental at the time.
Yeah, that's true. So, Haven pulls ahead there. He now comes up 3-2. But remember, it's the first to 5. Brooklyn still has a chance to catch up here. Let's go to the second question.
How long is this match?
Don't worry, you should be able to get to Game of Thrones in time. Don't worry.
Walking Dead, but okay, go ahead.
Game of Thrones doesn't.
Silly me. I don't know my TV. I only know wrestling.
Right, go ahead.
So let's go to question number 2. I'm going to name 2 wrestlers. You're going to tell me who do you think is better. So if you're ready, let's do this. CM Punk or Samoa Joe?
Oh,
CM Punk.
All right.
Samoa Joe.
Brooklyn's got CM Punk. Haven's got Samoa Joe. Brooklyn, you can take it away whenever you're ready.
This is going to be good. Brooklyn, you go first.
When CM Punk was in the WWE, there was a reason why he had the Summer of Punk. He dominated the WWE, whether it was in the ring, whether it was in the mic, with the matches that he had against John Cena, Undertaker, The Rock. There's so many names. He was a dominant champion while he was there, and he is greatly missed now in the WWE.
No, he's not. He was a fucking bum that didn't do shit in his career. He had one summer. They let him do a pipe bomb. Samoa Joe has 1 belt in the independent. He was an ROH champion. He was a TNA champion. He won TNA tag team titles. He won TNA heavyweight titles. He is in WWE right now. He was a 2-time the fucking NXT champion, and now he is one of the highlights of Raw.
Yeah, Samoa Joe is dominant though in the minors. Like his best years were in TNA. The minors of the WWE. CM Punk was great everywhere. What's Samoa Joe's promo skills like? CM Punk was great as a face. He was great as a heel in the Straight Edge Society. He was great everywhere. Samoa Joe was just a monster. He had no promo skill.
Samoa Joe has great promo skills. That's why he's one of the highlights of Raw right now. CM Punk is getting his ass whooped in UFC because he was a bitch in WWE. He was a whiny ass pussy. Samoa Joe has proven himself with a better career, a longer career, have more titles, and right now he's on the verge of coming up and winning the Raw Championship in a year or two.
Samoa Joe is a better Braun Strowman.
No. That's yep. Okay. So yeah, that was pretty back and forth. Just make sure, Haven, make sure you don't interrupt him during his arguments.
Sorry.
It's all right. We're all cool. I know you didn't mean it. So Hunter, let's start with you since you didn't get a say in the last one.
In my opinion, I would give it to Brooklyn because he did bring up the 5-star match with John Cena, the match with The Rock, all the stuff he did in WWE. He also brought up a little bit of the indie scene, a little bit. He also brought up that Punk was a great heel or face and his ring and promo skills. Haven focused a lot on, all right, Joe was good in the indies, and he brought up that he was an NXT champion, but that's all I kind of heard from Haven.
Yeah, I kind of got to agree with that. I think the promo skills and the match quality, I think, did it. Yo, what are you shaking your head for, Hayden?
The Summer of Punk. That was his whole fucking promo. Summer.
And it was arguably was better than anything that Joe did. So.
Yeah, I know. I'm outvoted, but I'd also go with Brooklyn on this one just because, David, you mentioned a lot of the indies that he was in. You didn't mention a lot of what he did on the indies. When it comes to you mentioned ROH a lot. You didn't mention what he did in ROH.
Yep.
And just
right. Are you guys just talking about WWE? Because I mentioned every championship they won and everywhere else. But if you guys are just stuck on WWE, then I guess this is great.
No, we're not.
I followed both these careers pretty much since 2002. And I'm not going by. You're just sticking to that. Oh, Samoa Joe killed it in the Indies. He killed it in ROH. Killed it in TNA, without mentioning how he did it. So you're just
30 seconds, but okay, it's 3-3. Next question.
You're too general.
Oh boy, the villain coming out full force now, but he's got a chance to come back. Let's go to the third speed round question. In honor of Ric Flair's 30 for 30, which wrestler should get a 30 for 30 presentation next?
Undertaker.
Sting.
Okay, Undertaker versus Sting.
Undertaker versus Sting.
Right.
A match that we will never get.
Yeah. I think Brooklyn was a little bit quicker on that, so we'll start with Brooklyn.
What can I say that Haven hasn't already said? Undertaker was the greatest thing of the past 25 years. He had that great rise as the Dead Man. You could say his fall as the American Badass, only to return as the Dead Man in 2004. He had such great matches throughout that career, and I believe Sting was 90s, and that was the best work.
Undertaker is a great wrestler because he had a WWE career. Sting had headline WCW. He was a great wrestler in TNA, and then when he finally went to WWE, he had his career cut short. He has won more heavyweight titles than Undertaker ever has. Undertaker has the benefit of Vince McMahon and WWE. That's why he's a great wrestler.
So Undertaker was like by Vince McMahon. What's the problem? He's still the greatest wrestler in WWE. Look at his matches with HBK at WrestleMania. He had a rise in the 90s. He had that fall as American Badass, even though I kind of disagree with that. But then that rise again as the Dead Man, that builds a great story. It's not just an ascension. You have that dip in there to create the story.
Yeah, but the thing with Sting was he was a great wrestler in the AWA. He was a great wrestler in WCW. He was a headliner all the time. And TNA, after WCW closed down, he said, fuck WWE. He went to TNA, and he won that belt 6 times there. And then when he finally went to WWE, if Seth Rollins didn't injure him, he probably would have been the champion right now. you know, or want to win that belt.
And Sting bit though and joined WWE, the thing he didn't want to join.
Yep. So yeah, let's start with Mark on this one.
On this one here, since we were talking about ESPN's 30 for 30, in all honesty, I'm surprised that neither of you guys mentioned anything behind the scenes that they could have talked about, which both would have had fantastic stories. Like,
Oh yeah.
but when it comes to, I'd have to go with Sting on this one, just because of it would tell a better story. When it comes to all the different stuff that you'd have access to, NWA, WCW, TNA, and WWE. Unfortunately, with The Undertaker, since you guys focused on in front of the camera stuff, he'd have a lesser story for an exciting story when it comes to ESPN 30 for 30.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. I mean, the thing that gave Haven the edge to me was the fact that he did at least bring up his time in AWA, NWA, WCW.
Back
So
check on that
to
one.
me, there was more.
In AWA. Sting was never in AWA. It was World Championship Class Wrestling, WCW, as the Dingo Warriors, or as the Warriors, when the Blade Runners, sorry, with Ultimate Warrior, and then NWA, and then WCW.
Yeah, but just the fact that Haven had a little bit more material there, to me, makes a little more compelling story. So I got to go with Haven on that. He jumps back ahead. It's now 4-3, potential game point. And yeah, this match has been going on for 63 years.
It feels like it too.
All right. Well, I don't know if this question's going to help anything. Judges, you might want to get your books out, because this might take a while if they can't figure this out. So,
anything that's good for a long Friday for me, I'm happy.
All right. I'm a little nervous about this question. We might have to change it, but let's see what these guys got. Obviously, this year is the 30th year of Survivor Series, so we want to ask both of our players that is currently under the age of 30 will have the best wrestling career.
What the? And wait. In general, or in WWE?
Anything. In wrestling.
Oh, Pete Dunne.
Okay. Well, Haven's at least got one. See.
Just a second here.
You don't know his wrestler's age.
Let me think, man. Let me think.
Yeah, this is huge. If you can't get one, it's going to go to Haven. Well, Haven.
Chad Gable.
All right. Can we get a fact check? Is it proven that he's under the age of 30?
Chad Gable, will do.
All righty.
Chad Gable.
Chad Gable is 31. You just missed it.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, you have no argument here, brother. My argument is
Oh.
Pete Dunne. I believe he's in between the age of 20 and 23.
Pete Dunne's 24.
24. Thank you so much. Right now, my 30 seconds, I'm going to start right now. He is already the current second-time United Kingdom WWE champion. Even if he loses that belt and maybe wins Intercontinental or any other title in WWE. If he gets out of WWE, he could go to any other promotion in the world. He could go to ROH. He could go to New Japan. He could go to TNA and still win belts until he's 30. He has no wrestler that could do that because he's thinking of WWE. And anybody, he thought Chad Gable. Chad Gable ain't winning shit there unless they bring back the hardcore title, unless he wins the women's fucking title.
Oh, you just landed on now. Well, unfortunately, that was Brooklyn got close, but unfortunately that did not qualify as the correct answer. So, unfortunately, we got to give that to Haven on a technicality. That was kind of a bummer to end the match like that, but that was a hell of an effort by you, Brooklyn, but just a little bit short, which means that your winner tonight is the villain, Haven. But Well fought match. That was a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
I had a lot of notes, man. I prepared all day long. You know what? I gotta say, Brooklyn. I met him recently. He's a great guy, and this match might have showed like I didn't like him or I was disrespectful with him, but I respect this guy a lot. But when it comes to wrestling debate, I'm gonna fight tooth and nail to fucking win because I love wrestling, you know. And I think when I pick an answer, I believe it's right 100%, and I'm always gonna back that up. And Brooklyn is a great guy, and I don't mean no disrespect to him. It could have been anybody I was challenging, and I'll still try to beat the shit out of him to win the match.
That's well said. And Brooklyn, you came up a little bit short, but that was a hell of an effort that you put up tonight. I was really impressed with your performance tonight, and I'd love to have you come back if ever you're willing to. Yeah,
well, like considering that, like I'll admit I'm not the biggest, I'm not the biggest I would say I'm like a semi-hardcore fan of wrestling. So to get 3 points, I was successful. Like I would say I was happy. I did not think I was getting the Neville point, and nor did I think I was getting the Survivor Series 2005. I thought I was gonna lose those. But to Haven, like what a hell of a match. We was back and forth, like it was heated. But what I love about debates is that they can be class. They can be full of class. So yeah, we might have had some heated conversations in the ring. We might have said some things that probably weren't the best things. But you know what? At the end of it, we respect each other. You did a hell of a match. And the better man won.
Thank you.
But I definitely will be back.
Oh yeah, I don't take nothing away from you personally, man. You're a great competitor. You know, I didn't take shots at you personally. It's just that
wait till Tuesday when you have that handicap match.
Oh, I already. I already see.
Those questions are gonna be 10 times harder now.
Oh yeah. I don't know, man. I see how it is. I can't get no love anywhere.
All right, so this has been a blast. So for closing arguments, let's go to our judges. Mark, what'd you think about this? I thought it was a lot of fun.
Oh, it was fun. It was heated, and it was intense and very close. Every round, even the speed rounds, everything was close. God damn, that was like 2 hours of intensity. I'd like to congratulate both Haven and Brooklyn for bringing it, without a doubt. Wow.
Pretty much took every single word that I said. Hunter, do you pretty much say the exact same thing that I do?
Actually, first, my notes. Look how long this was.
Jesus. These matches last too long.
Yes, it was a very long match.
Too long.
Look how many notes that I had.
Yeah, that's because you're biased. You're rating the match for Brooklyn to win. But
that's why I was always through like this, just like I was listening.
I do want to bring up the fact that I love that we had Naito and Neville as the two polar opposites for Best Wrestler 2017. But it was so much fun, guys. You two brought it, and I love the fire, man. I love the fire.
Absolutely. I couldn't have said that better myself. So that's pretty much going to wrap this up for this edition of All-Star Wrestling Debaters. This was a lot of fun. I don't know if this match can ever be topped, but I hope our competitors that ever follow will give it their damnedest to try. So for everybody here, for Brooklyn Vail, for Haven, for Hunter, for Mark, this is JTH. Thank you for tuning in, and I bid you on behalf of everybody, adieu.